Hello. Today we're painting a version of this lighthouse and we're doing it with our current curated collection. If you're wondering, what the heck are you talking about? What is a curated collection? How do I get mine? Everything is listed in the description below. However, let me switch over to the desk here and you'll see these are the supplies that are in this current curated collection. A curated collection was my answer to the art subscription boxes. Everything that I was not liking in art subscription boxes, I set out to change that, create something that you never have to subscribe to. You will never receive before seeing it. You choose which parts are right for you, and you only order those pieces. So it is a curated collection of art supplies that are chosen to work well together. That was another one of my little peeves about some of the art subscription boxes. It just seemed like, did they just grab from a random shelf and throw things in the box to complete the box? That's how some of them felt sometimes. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to feel like that. Not only that, you were going to get quality art supplies if you chose to get the items that I've curated for you. So again, everything is linked in the description below. This month it was Sennelier, and we were working with a very limited palette. These 4 colors here, and I just put mine on a plate to make it even more economical. I didn't have to buy a palette. I just got, I bought the plate, but it was from the dollar store. So it was $1.25 to get just a little square lunch plate at the dollar store. And that's what I put my colors on. However, as an upgrade, I did list the Speedball palette. So if you see the Speedball palette listed in the description and you are wondering what that looks like, thank you, Dylan. This is it right here. So this is the Speedball round palette. More than enough wells for your colors. And that was one of the upgrades. I like to put upgrades in there. So you have a basic box, which is going to fall right about the same price as any regular art subscription box would be. And then there are some add-ons that maybe enhance your box. So we had a size 10 round Princeton Velvet Touch, and I am really enjoying, I just put some tape on mine so I would remember which one it was, but I'm really enjoying this brush so far. I really like it. Lots of snap, still holds plenty of water and pigment, and our paper is the Fluid 100. It is a 100% cotton paper. This is a cold press finish, but I have to say, working on this is not like other cold press surfaces I have used. This is really smooth, almost feels hot pressed to me. So it's not going to be highly textured. So if you're somebody who maybe likes a hot press paper, this might be a perfect paper for you. In addition to that, one of the other add-ons was Caput Mortem, because this was the only other color in Sennelier that I had, and this was PR 101, and I thought that'd be a perfect addition to this palette because the burnt sienna that's here is a PBR 7, and they're very different. This is very warm, this is very much cooler, and I figured that would help us get even more mixing with our collection. So the other upgrade that you could get, I did have a larger size of this block of paper if that interests you, and then there was the set of 4 Velvet Touch brushes if you didn't have watercolor brushes that were a quality brush and wanted to get started on a decent collection. These, and I finally got in the 3/8 angled shader, finally came in, but these are the sizes that you would get. This brush is not included in these sizes. That was definitely done on purpose because I wanted to make sure that you weren't going to get a duplicate if you decided to upgrade your collection and get the larger set of brushes. So this is a 10 round, and the upgraded one came with a size 8 long round, a size 4 round, a 3/4 inch wash that has the acrylic handle. This is great for maybe scraping in on your watercolor paper, or using this part to remove your paper from your block. So there's that. And then of course the 3/4 shade, the angled shader. So that is the curated collection. Real fast recap there. So if you don't have yours yet, you can still order them. Everything is in the description below. You just choose the items that you want. The links are there. They are affiliate links. And that using those links helps me be able to get the next curated collection, because I do get a slight commission from the sale when you purchase them through Blick. So all of that out of the way, let me move these colors. Before I dive into today's painting, Dylan says, does anyone else have a problem with paintbrush collecting? I don't have a problem at all. I collect all the brushes. I had a question from one of the viewers. It is warm in my studio today. It is really warm. It's like 57 degrees outside, which is nice. But this is like the first day. It is really hot up here. Soon I'm going to be like, can we turn on some air conditioning? Which is crazy because I just told you like a week or so ago it was snowing. But that's how Maine goes. We transition fast. I had a question when I did the swatching of the colors. I just quickly put a grid down, but I didn't show the grid. So somebody had asked me, could I explain how I did my grid? And so just real quick, when I do my grid, depending on how many colors I have, I will do, so here we have the 5 colors that are in our collection this month, including our add-on. And so I do 5 down, 5 across. And I did 1-inch squares. So that's going to be 5 inches. Go at every inch mark, and I put a little tick line. Come down 5 inches. Again, at every inch mark, I put a little tick line, and then I fill in the, create the grid in pencil. If I want to include these in squares, well, then I would go 6 inches by 6 inches, like I did with this one that I made with my M-gram colors. So with the M-gram colors, and I did this last week while we were live, but again, I had already done the grid. So I did these in 1/2 inch because there were more colors. But if we were doing the 5 and we went 6 inches by 6 inches, we would put an X in the top box because nothing goes there. We would put our colors the same order down the side as we do across the top. And then the colors would come down the diagonal spaces, which you can see here. So we had where our red is in the first one. Where our yellows were, they went here. And it just continues all the way. And I went ahead and put in the color name and its pigment number in these boxes. That was just my preference because I didn't have room on the sides to do it. So I hope that answered that question for how I make my grids. And then what I do is whatever color is here is the primary color in the mix, and whatever color is here is what's going into it. So here it's red with a little bit of yellow, but here it's yellow with a little bit of red. I hope that makes sense. So blue with a little bit of red, red with a little bit of blue. Okay, so you just kind of work your way through the grid, but whatever color is on the left is the one that I do the primary, and whatever color is down the top is the secondary color, is the little bit that I use just enough to change the hue. And that's how I do it, to figure out like all the colors that I can mix. And that's just mixing one-on-one. Again, if you see the videos, we go into like how you can mix greens and mixing from green and then adding to that to get different greens. So that's out there for you. I hope that answered the question for the person who had messaged me and asked, could I show how I do it? So that's how I do it. Okay, today we're going to paint this lighthouse. And I was like, oh, really excited about this. So everybody says, yes, good explanation on the grid. Perfect. Okay. So I shared the reference photo, and if you haven't seen it yet or you haven't gotten yours, it is over on my Patreon. It is free for everybody. It is out there because this is one from Unsplash. So you can just, the link is in the description to get the reference photo. It'll take you right to my Patreon because I have a couple versions on there. Because this lighthouse, if you don't like the blurred, where did I put my other ones? Oh no, I lost them. I printed it a couple times so that I could show you guys. And then I cleaned my desk before I started because I was like ready to go like 2 hours before the stream. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? So I cleaned off the table that sits over here beside me. And I was working on making my swatch cards. And apparently I moved the photos. I don't know. They're lost. Yeah, I don't know where I put them now. So anyways, I have the one. I have the one that I used, and that's good enough. So in the reference photo, the foreground was very blurry. I didn't want that much of it, so I cropped some of that out and moved in tighter. Now this I just did this morning. It was a really quick freehand sketch. My lines are wonky. My lighthouse is not sitting right. It looks like it's like teetering. It's a hot mess. But it was just a quick sketch to see, can I paint this in enough time to paint it with you guys live? And the answer is yes, we can. So that's what we're going to do today. So what I did was I printed this out. I just printed it on my laser printer. It came, of course, it's going to be black and white because I don't have a color laser printer. And then what I did was I got the lighthouse to be about the size that I wanted. And my hands are like so shaky today. And then I took my block and I kind of set this up where I wanted it on my block. And I just took some graphite paper and put that down. You can see there's my lighthouse right there. Put that down on the page and went over just the lines, just these lines of my lighthouse. You'll see there's nothing at the bottom. It doesn't finish off because we're going to paint in some of that blurred foliage that's in the foreground. So this painting is going to, and my lines are much better now. My lighthouse is a little bit smaller in this version, but that's okay. I could have made it a little larger, but I wasn't printing it again because that was like the third time I printed it and I was like, it's good enough. So you can just, however large you want your lighthouse to be on the page. And then you're going to want it to be about 1 inch or so from the bottom where, you know, where the lighthouse, where you see it on the page here. Okay. So for me, I had to, like, I did that about 15% increase and printed it out. And then it made the lighthouse like just what I wanted for the 4x6. And let me tell you why I love this size, the 4x6 block. So one of the reasons that I chose this as the size, and again, there is a larger size you can get if you choose to upgrade. But this size, 4x6, well, that's the size that pictures get printed in. It is also the size that you can get, because they didn't have 5x7, or I probably would have picked the 5x7 block, because, you know, you go to like Dollar Tree or, well, we have Christmas tree shops. Well, we don't anymore. It's very sad. But anyways, we used to. It was a store kind of like a dollar store. But at your local dollar store, you can get little frames like this, very inexpensive. And let me just show you. It is going to be perfect for the art that you make with your collection. Right, you just pop that right in there. As I try not to cut myself with the glass. And then there you go. Your watercolor's ready to display in a 4x6 frame, or sometimes you can even find at the dollar stores, you can find like a 5x7 matte with a 4x6 opening, and you could do that and put it in a 5x7 frame. So, you know, just tape them on the back. So look at that. And there's my little painting from this morning. There we go. All right. I'm looking forward to doing this one. We are going to like dive right into it. And I think we're doing good. I mean, that was a lot of information out in a little bit of time. Oh, okay. Let's see. Great question. So let me just check in with the chat here. Dolphin Soul says, don't forget to sign your work. Yeah, I need to sign that one. So the question was, does leaving the Sennelier out in the open palette make them firm, or do they remain tacky? Now, it's going to really depend on where you live. However, I painted with these this morning, and these are like, no, they're not even. The ones that I painted with, they're only like slightly, only some of them are slightly tacky. Like the yellow is slightly tacky. I had that wet this morning. The blue a little bit. The burnt sienna, that already feels dry. So everything dries like crazy in my studio. I shared over on Discord, if you're a channel member or a patron. I'm always sharing behind the scenes stuff over there on Discord. And I dropped a picture of my rinse well earlier today. I hadn't changed it since last Thursday, and I've been painting a lot with it. And I probably lost a good 3/4 of an inch of water had evaporated in a week's time. And it was some nasty, dirty water. But my clean water I was still going. I still could have kept going. If I had forgotten to take care of it, I could have painted with it again today, and it would have been fine. So the answer is, in my studio, they're not tacky. They dry right down. But I don't know. It's just going to depend on your climate. It is very, very dry. I mean, I get up off of my chair and walk across the room, and every time I get up and go to leave the studio, I get zapped by my drafting table because it's metal. So it never fails. Like, I'll bump it with my hip and it'll zap me because that's static electricity. But yeah, it's really dry here. So these are a little tacky to the touch, the red and the yellow, but the Caput Mortem and the Ultramarine Blue and the Burnt Sienna, they're not. Okay. So hope that answered your question. Excuse me. Hi, Tara. It's okay. I haven't seen Joseph yet either, but that's okay. We'll keep things going. All right. Let's get started on this. This is a fun one. I think it's a fun one. And I am definitely going to need my glasses because I've been doing a lot of intricate stuff today. Yeah, glasses will be needed. Now, if you have I have the 10 round, and I painted the one earlier today. Oh, there's Dimitri. I was hoping he would appear. So Dimitri won our giveaway when we gave away one of the curated collections. And he just messaged me today that it arrived. So I am so thrilled that he has that in his hands. Congratulations again. We did that giveaway courtesy of Rob. So huge thank you again to Rob for that. All right. Oh my gosh. That sounds so good, Dolphin Soul. That sounds so good. That is so wrong. And Lou just went to the store, and I can't message him because now I'm live streaming. I want to be like, get some oatmeal cream cookies and some Coke. So everybody now knows what you're eating for a snack. That sounds excellent. So anyways, what I was saying was that I painted the entire first one with this 10 round. All the little lines, everything was done with this. This point is wonderful on this brush. But if you did get the add-ons, you could absolutely do your size 4 round to do the fine details like up in here. And if you're just not steady enough with your hand with the brush. Don't be afraid to come in afterwards with something like the Tombow. This is the Tombow Funosuke. I like this one. It's a brush pen. This is the harder nib. It's the blue barrel. Or even something like Sakura Pigma Micron. You can use that also. So, you know, don't be afraid to throw some lines on your work afterwards if you need to. Okay, ready to start? I'm ready to start. But you're going to see me paint it mostly with just the brushes. I might grab the 4. I might not. I might just paint all of it with the 10 just to show you that you can do it. You can do it. All right. So to begin with, I'm going to grab a little spritz bottle and I'm just going to give these a little spritz where I have my color just to kind of wake them up. And then we're going to come over here to our painting and I'm going to wet the background. Now we're going to get a little clever here with our cloud placement, because if there's a cloud perfectly behind our light, okay, you see up here, I placed a cloud right behind that light. If that's there, I don't have to go into these little tiny spaces and paint blue sky. So we're cheating. We're gonna cheat a little bit. You can absolutely paint it blue if you want to. That's not a problem at all. When I did my owl's head light, I absolutely painted in those spaces. And let me just show you guys. I mean, this is an older one. This is one I did for patrons. This is my original that I'm like, don't know that I could part with yet at any time soon. But you see, I painted in all of the in-betweens. And this is one that I did. This was the photograph was my own. This is Owl's Head Light here in Maine. This is off the coast of Maine, or on the coast of Maine. And yeah, I loved painting this one, especially getting the metal on that door was like, that was a lot of fun. So this is actually in, patrons have access to this. That was a, okay, now it's not gonna want to stay up. That was a quarterly, back when I did the quarterly paintings. Now we have the studio time, but that's still there, that can be seen. Okay, it is really warm in the studio. I still so want to tell Lou, like, get snacks. Okay. All right. Are you ready for how we're going to do this one? So we're going to get creative with the cloud placement. Okay. Here we go. So we're just going to take some clean water and I'm going to wet around my lighthouse. Okay. I'm not going to wet the actual lighthouse because I don't need to paint in those spaces. We are just going to wet. And this is getting really wet. Now right here on the lighthouse, there's a little section where the rail is. We want to wet over that. Okay, I will show it to you up close in just a second. And it is warm here today, and this is going to just absorb and dry really quickly. So right there where the railing is, because that we're going to want sky to be behind that space. And this is one that we definitely have to be brave and trust the process. There we go. And I'm going to wet along the bottom. And I'm going to come up onto the base of my lighthouse a little bit. Okay. So if I get that a little closer, you guys can see how wet it is. That's very reflective. It's getting very shiny. So right here where my rail is, I have this is wet because in here is going to be black, but here we're going to have sky showing through those railings. There are people on that catwalk looking out. I chose not to include them in my painting. I didn't need to see the people. So, but the reference photo does have people. All right, I'm just putting a little bit more water because I can already see that this is just soaking right in. Now I did, like I said I might, and I sealed my blocks on the end. So mine have been glued, like all of this is now glued together. And down here, you can see the spot right there where it's open. This has been glued and this has been glued. And if that's something that you are interested in, I did record that. And that will be out for you guys on Saturday. So you'll be able to see that on Saturday. All right, now let's begin. We're going to grab some ultramarine blue. And we're going to start just painting in right at the top. We're going to put in our ultramarine blue. And we're going to negative paint some clouds. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. And I'm just going to put mine, because I don't have my reference photo. Let me just stick that one up there so I can kind of look at it. Right? We're just going to kind of look at, you see that? And there's a cloud. Remember, when we come around our lighthouse, we're going to have a cloud. So I'm going to put the blue right here. But I'm going to let there be a cloud going behind the light. Again here, put that in. I painted over the top part, doesn't matter, that's going to be really dark. All right, there we go. Now, as we work our way down, you see I just touched my ultramarine blue again. But now I'm not going to touch it again, because as I work my way down, I want to make sure that if I'm painting in clouds, I'm leaving those spaces more narrow, because the sky is starting to push away from me the closer I get towards my horizon. So if I put a cloud in, I'm going to want it to be thin, and I'm going to want the sky to continue to get lighter as it approaches the horizon. And I'm going to have to touch that in and get some. You see, I pulled that water over here just because my brush was too dry. My paper's already dry. So anywhere I leave a space, I want to make sure it's thinner. And I want to keep my color light. Okay, now the bottom of my paper is dry. I need to get that wet. Hi, Joseph. Hi, George. Cat's Art Picks. Like popping my head up, seeing who's here, who has said hi in the chat. All right, this is where we have to trust the process. We like really have to trust the process. because we're going to paint in that blurry foreground, and it's going to look weird to us. And you're going to want it to look like something, and it doesn't need to. Okay, so there, I've just taken some of my yellow and a touch of my ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to start by dabbing in some of that color. And this was hard. This was really hard when I did it this morning on the first one, because it's like so bright. It's hard for you guys to see. I know as soon as I start getting some more color, it'll adjust, but right, so we had some yellow, and we're going to grab a touch of that ultramarine blue. Right, just a variety of colors, and we're just going to dab some more in. And I'm literally just dabbing it in. This is the hardest part. Your brain is going to be like, but it needs to look like something. No, it's fine. Trust me, it's fine. Just think shrubbery. And we're going to grab some of our burnt sienna. So get our burnt sienna. Maybe grab a little bit of this from the green. We're just neutralizing this a little bit more. We're going to drop some of this in here and there. And you see my colors are very light. And I actually did send a message to Lou and said, get snacks. I don't know if he's already home, so he probably didn't get that. I'm probably out of luck. Now on the reference photo, there's looks like some flowers. They're pink. So we don't have pink, but we do have red. And if we add water, it's going to be lighter. It's going to look like a pink. And you'll see I've just marked on my plate Sennelier. So I know these are my Sennelier paints. And they just stay on this plate in the studio. I'm going to drop some of that in, and I'm just touching, right, here and there. Bring some of that color. There's a little bit of that in the actual reference photo. You see these pink colors. There we go. I'm going to let this set for a minute. One of the things I need to do is I've got to mix up the dark from my lighthouse. So, how we do that? Ultramarine blue. You guys already know this one. Ultramarine blue. Okay, and I don't want a ton of water. So I didn't even go to my water, I just grabbed it from there. And don't worry about getting like a little bit of your color mixed in. You can clean those off. Need that to be more. Okay, I'm really gonna pushing towards nice, really dark, almost black. This lighthouse is black and white, but I don't have a black, so I have to make as close as I can get. And ultramarine blue and burnt sienna are gonna get you there wonderfully. Okay, now I've got a lot of paint in that brush. Get that off on there. Tap some excess out of it. Because down here on the bottom, you actually see a little bit of this dark part in here. And I have a piece of tissue. I don't want that traveling up into the white part of my lighthouse. I need to move that on this side. So I'm just going to come in, lift that off. That is one thing about this paper that I found this morning when I was working with it. I was able to lift it off really, really well. This is very wet. When I did this morning, it was the bottom part was not so wet when I added the dark color in. And then I'm just kind of moving that up because I want this to be, lift that off. There. This is, we're seeing that dark through some of the foliage. So we're going to come back with some of our green. And we're just going to drop some more in. And I'm not going to even worry about coming right up over that. So I'm just coming back with another layer. That tapping my tissue was to make sure I didn't have too much on my brush. I'm just picturing like foliage shapes here. But it's very much out of focus. I kind of like how I did the first one better, but it's fine. Some more of our burnt sienna. Just drop some of those colors in here. I have some of the pinks, so I'm going to like preserve some of that. I don't want the burnt sienna everywhere. I don't want it to completely take over, but I am going to come back with some green. It's a bit more yellow green this time. And I'm going to show you, like, see how I have some hard lines here? I really don't want that. This is what's wonderful about this paper. I can come back. So clean water, clean brush, right? Wipe that off on the edge. I'm going to turn this around. Let me actually get you a little closer. There we go. All right, I can come right around here and just soften those edges. This is just a damp brush. Anywhere that there's like a hard line that I don't want, because I want this to be out of focus. And now it's all soft. And it's really hard when you're looking at this, like, oh, this is just a mess, and it starts to look muddied. It's hard we've got to know when to say when and like stop. So I'm just going to put in some more. I want some darker green. I'm just making a mess of my yellow and my blue. Oh, you absolutely, you should, Joseph. I love lighthouses. Love lighthouses. Of course, Lou and I did trip a couple years ago where we just went to a bunch of the lighthouses up and down the Maine coast. This has a lot more water in it. And if it causes blooms, I'm not going to mind. But I do need to like stop. Just going to get a little bit more of the red back in there. And of course, red and green, if they mix too much, it's going to be a problem. But I added more red where it was more paint, less water. So hopefully it will sit on top and it won't mingle as much. Sorry, I put my hand right in front of the camera. But anyways, we're going to leave that. If I need to, do some adjusting to this after, I will. But for now, we got to leave it because like I said, it's hard because it's hard to trust the process where you go, but I need this to be out of focus. Well, stop fiddling with it as I keep fiddling with it. I'm just lifting out here and there. We're gonna leave it be. We need to move on to our lighthouse. Yeah, we're just like, stop. Okay. We're just gonna leave it alone. Just leave it be. I definitely like the way, so far, but it's not dry yet, I like the way that the first one came out. It was nice and soft, and this might be a little bit too much, but I might be able to lighten that up too. Oh, that pulled a lot. That pulled a lot off when I just did that, but I think as I'm putting a color in here, I'm gonna just leave it alone. Leave it alone. All right, let's talk about the lighthouse. I do need to touch this up a bit because that line is not straight. It's not right, but I'll make it right. Yeah, that'll be fine. We'll do that after. Okay, this is all wet. I'm gonna start at the top. So I'm actually gonna paint this upside down. Hope that doesn't bother you guys because I'm gonna paint it upside down for a little bit. So here's my really dark, turn my palette. Here's my dark that I mixed up for my lighthouse. Now on this lighthouse, there's a couple things to note. I have put in, there was a ladder and I decided to keep the ladder. You could keep it or omit it, but my train of thought was, I don't know if this ladder is always on this lighthouse. And if it is always on the lighthouse, then of course I want it to be there. If it was something like, oh, they were doing a repair or something and that ladder was up there, well, that might be something you could just omit. But I have no idea. This is a picture of a lighthouse in France. I have no frame of reference other than the reference photo. And when I've seen it, it's in there. So I left it. So there's a ladder here. And we're just going to do a little negative painting and avoiding certain spots. And that ladder is going to paint itself in. We have our rail. Like I said, I took the people off. But then there's this line. And this line comes down around the lighthouse and it's like attached along the wall. And it comes around with this bump out and it comes down. When you look at the reference photo, when that line goes over the black sections of the lighthouse, it's actually highlighting almost white the way the light is hitting it. So in order to do that, we're just going to paint right along the edge and kind of leave it a white space. And then when we're on the white parts of the lighthouse, we're going to paint it. We're going to paint it in with the dark. So you'll see. It's not going to be hard. Okay. Now, let's start. So up here, at the very top, there's like almost like a weather vane. This is where I was saying, if you are like, oh, my hands are not that steady, don't worry. You can either use a smaller brush if you need to, or get a very fine, like a, yeah, that's a double 5, so 005 micron pen, and do it with that. But I'm going to do it with the 10 round because I just want you to see that you can. The point on this brush is wonderful. So now I'm not going to start by touching this little tiny line that I have to make because there might be too much paint on my brush. I'm going to start by touching the round ball that's at the top of my lighthouse. I'm going to paint that part in. And I don't have too much paint, so I can bring that down. And I'm just going to wiggle because it gets a little wide. There's something at the top there. And there we go. Done. Weather vane painted in. Okay. I'm going to have to look up Montauk. I'm not sure, like, I know a lot of the New England lighthouses by sight, like where they're located. And I know some of them that are like Virginia, North Carolina area because I lived in those areas as well. But I don't know Montauk, the one that's in New York, or one of the ones in New York. I'm sure there's many more than just one. Okay, so to paint this, let me see if I can bring you back to this view. I don't know if this is going to show you guys, and forgive me as I start to tip this in because I don't know if that will give you a better view of what I'm doing. Hopefully. You'll let me know in the chat if the overhead was better. So you see the point on this brush is wonderful. And I'm going to go slow for these parts. And in the reference photo, there's actually some like white on the roof. So I've just left a little bit of white space. Now, when it comes to my ladder, all I have to do is put in a few spots like in between the rungs. And there we go. I just painted the top part of that ladder. If you guys can't see, I will bring it up closer to the camera for you in a moment. And as I work my way down, I'll be doing the same thing. There we go. So if you guys can see that. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to move this plate just a little. Turn that so you still see the color I'm working with. It's dry on my plate, so that's why you just saw me kind of dip into my clean water there for a second, which it really wouldn't have mattered if I dipped into my dirty water. Since this is our dark color, I have to turn this because I need to be able to get this line. I just skipped over where the ladder comes down. There we go. And this goes, you'll notice that you could see the line that comes to the back. I'm not going to paint that yet. That's up inside, and I want that to be a lighter value. Tara. Well, I hope so, but it really isn't hard. You just have to take it slow. Tara, you always make it look so easy. And then, of course, our custom emotes don't show up when I share the chat on the, for whatever reason they don't translate over. But all right, so now what I'm going to do is, while I still have this full strength in my brush, I'm going to come down here to my next part that's really dark, which is going to be below the light. And my brush does it that fast. It has dried. All right, so I just dampened my brush a little bit. Because what I'm going to have to do is I need a lighter gray for stuff that is in the light. So I'm going to paint out some of this really dark first. And that comes down. And if you just take your time, you can do it. And again, I'm painting all of this. This is quite a large brush. You might find it easier to paint that part with, say, a size 4 round. And we're going to come back in because we have to add some shadow. But for now, I'm going to rinse out my brush, tapping that on I have a sponge. My sponge I always have there. And I want a little bit of clean water. And see where I tapped over here? I'm going to add some water to that. And now I have a much lighter gray. Okay, so again, I need too much water in my brush right now. I need to get some of that water out. Tap that tip off. And now I'm going to be painting with this gray. So now I can come in here and I'm going to paint inside, underneath, and there's still a lot of water in this. Dabbing in between my rungs on that ladder. And I have to get some more dark up there. Again, you can also, painting around the light, you can also do some of these lines if you need to. You could do them with a liner pen as well. You don't have to paint them with your brush. Okay, so I'm leaving the square that is the light undone and just darkening up. I'll have to let this dry and come back and do another coat, but there's part of our light. We are going to do all the lines and around the glass. We're going to do those, but we have to let this dry first. Okay. So going back to our dark color. I'm just wet while my brush is wet. Re-wetting that. Okay. So we have black comes to all this section. This section is black. So I'm going to paint this in. Notice I've left a tiny space there. There's actually a highlight where the rail is for the catwalk. I shared pictures over on Discord earlier. Somebody shared an image of this light standing on the catwalk, looking like taking the picture, taking it down. Yeah, I don't think so. Not for me. I do not like heights. So right there, I just left a little space. I forgot to do it on the line, the straight part, which is fine. But I left a little tiny white space right here because that line is coming down. So I have to remember when that line is coming over my black parts of my lighthouse, it looks, it has a highlight. It's almost white. And the further I go along, the more that's going to start to show up. Now underneath here, there's a shadow that comes like this. We want this for here to be much darker. So this is going to have to be painted twice because this is definitely not dark enough. Now you see that line. Okay, so we're going to come back and we're going to add more shadow in. Or actually what it is we're going to paint it darker and leave what's highlighted from the lights, like the sun is coming from this side of the lighthouse. Okay. So we're going to come back and do the shadows on our white part, but we got to paint this part as black as well. Oh, and while I'm right here, I might as well put in some of our rails. So again, this is where you could do these if you were not comfortable painting these skinny little lines with your brush. I love the point on this brush. So where that catwalk goes, you see the kind of ellipse back the other way, where that catwalk goes around the other side. And there are a lot of rails so people don't fall through. I'm not worried about painting every single one of them, but I will have lines that go all the way to the top curve, and I will have lines that only go up to that bottom curve, because those would be those rails on the back side of the lighthouse. Okay, I need I had missed a spot where that ladder comes over. Dolphin Soul says, I'm not that steady with the brush. It probably won't be with the pen. I just go very slow. But this brush does have a wonderful point. So as long as I can see that point, because you'll notice I like lean myself sideways because I'm looking at an angle. So as long as I can see um, where that brush is making contact and see just the tip of my brush, I can usually do fairly decent. Usually. This is not wanting to. My palette is so dry already. Okay. Painting in the windows on the white parts. And then on the dark part, it's actually white. There's like a little sliver where there's a white, you can actually see like a white highlight in there. I think I do that. I think I do that as well. Dion says I notice that I hold my breath. I hold my breath when doing straight lines. I think sometimes I notice like not breathing. You're not alone. You're not alone. Okay. I need to just putting a fine mist over that because I don't want to bring a lot of water in with my brush, but I need this to be reactivated. I'm going to have to mix more anyway, so really doesn't matter. I'm going to come back up here and keep working the top part. All right, let's get in some of these lines and make this light show up. So again, some of these are behind and they only go to the edge where it curves in the background. And some all the way up. darkening up inside a little bit. It's too light back there. All right. Now I need to get my lines, which I've kind of painted over. I'm not seeing as well, but we're going to wing it. Come around like that. It goes behind a little bit like that. There we go. Good enough. And there's our light. All right, I need to mix up more because this is not going to do. So we have ultramarine blue. And our burnt sienna. It's a little warmer than the last time, so I'm going to grab a little bit more blue. There we go. And I can tell by what I have on my plate whether I was warmer or cooler or more on the money. And I think that's fine. Okay. So I'm going to come back in and darken this up. And we're going to darken the whole right side. And we just want like that. Okay. Ooh, I saw homemade chili. George has 80. I saw the Dolphin Soul said it's like 90 degrees there. I'm like, guys, it's 58 degrees here, and that's wonderful. And that is more than, that's plenty warm enough for me. Oh. You guys can keep your 80s and 90s. I'm perfectly content to stay like that 60s, 70s. Yep, that's fine for me. All right. Now we are going to paint this part. It's black. I gotta, again, I'm gonna have to do more than one layer here. And this also has one of the curved, like that curved shadow, which will show up once this dries and we paint a second layer on. And again, I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to come right alongside, almost touching, but not, so that I leave that line for the line that's coming down. I probably should have started on my right side when I had more paint in my brush. Oh, I almost painted the part that's supposed to stay white on my window. Just lifting a little bit of that out. And right down in here, I'm going to put in some of the, I'm not going dark everywhere because I want it to be like this is just showing through in places, but I didn't like how I had lost the line. I don't know. I'm still not sure. The verdict's still out on that. We'll see. We'll see. All right, so I need my line comes down. And I'm just pressing and lifting off some where my green is because I don't want it to be as dark behind there. It's kind of showing through, but I don't want it as dark. The line comes out. It comes out, down, and around. Okay, I need that to dry so that I can paint the highlight or the shadow rather on the white part of the lighthouse, which is what's going to give it its form, kind of make it pop. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'll come back and do this again. Now that's 8.5 Celsius. So what is that in Fahrenheit? Tara says I only got to 8.5. So when we hear Tara say 8.5, she's talking Celsius. There we go. Now that's starting to get our darker parts of our lighthouse filled in. I think this needs to be a little bit darker. It's a bit light compared to the rest of it. There we go. Okay. We're getting there. We're not far from having this one finished. We're going to be like, now what do we do? Awkwardly stare at each other. No, I'm kidding. No, we won't do that. All right. You know what I do need? Some dark. Just helping to kind of emphasize where the ladder's at. I think I'm going to leave it. Okay, to do the shadow, I need that to be like a bluish gray. So I'm going to take a little bit here of my gray color, and I'm going to take a touch of my ultramarine blue. And there you go. So it was just, and you guys couldn't see any of it. Let me do it again, one more time, because I was blocking it. Okay. So I take a little bit of my gray color that I've mixed up here. Okay. And then I'm just going to touch a touch of blue. And now I have a blue-gray. And it's not, it's pretty watered down, but it's not, like this is not, it's definitely in a lighter color, but this is not soaked. Like my brush is not going to be full of water. And I'm going to come over here and underneath this ledge, put in this blue gray value. Now I just took any of that excess and lifted it with my brush and wiped it on my tissue. And now we have the shadow on the white part of our lighthouse. And we have to do the same down here. Now our lighthouse has some shape. Just like that, it starts to look like a round lighthouse. Okay. That painted up really quick. We still have plenty of time. I don't know. And again, I did that all with my size 10 round. So you see the point is I love the point on that brush. Um, but yeah, I'm still like, I'm not digging the foreground. I'm just not, I like the foreground. I like the lighthouse here, but I like the foreground here. And again, I just sketched it real quick. You see how wonky my lines are? Like they're drooping down on this side. I'm shorter on this side than I am on this side. It was a rough sketch, and I just went ahead and painted it and didn't worry about it. This was by transferring line work from my reference photo. So I absolutely love the lighthouse that I've done here. Much better. But I don't know. I think I need to like let it set for a minute and just let's see how it grows on me. I would like a little bit smoother transition with my sky, from the bright blue to the lighter blue. That's something that I could actually touch up and add to. I could do that. Let me just double check the chat now for any questions. So Cat's Art Pick said, what is my favorite go-to watercolor brush? You guys don't see me use my favorite brush because my favorite brushes are expensive brushes. So I don't use those that often, because when you guys want recommendations for brushes, if I say, oh yeah, well, this is one of my favorite brushes, but it's $35 or almost 40. Yeah, about $35 to $40. Actually, I think these are more now. I don't know exactly because I know the costs have gone up. But Silver Black Velvet is my absolute favorite brushes. Like, these are amazing. In fact, I just won. They did a live. If anybody caught that on Instagram, I actually won a set of brushes from them, and they're small brushes. How often do you guys see me pick up a tiny little brush? I think I won the set of tiny ones, which, is fine. That's fine. I'm still going to be thrilled to have them. The one set had like the 12 round. That's the one I really was hoping, because I would love to have the 12 round. But look at the point. It holds a point wonderfully, and yeah, Silver Black Velvet is my favorite. However, I will say that I ordered the Aqua Elites to give those a try, and I ordered the Velvet Touch because I wanted something. The Aqua Elite is a little bit more expensive. It is like a Kolinsky Sable. Now, this is very soft, like a squirrel. And Silver Black Velvet brushes are synthetic and real hair. They're a mixture. I am fine with that in my brush, and I like these brushes. But knowing that a lot of people are very much, they just want synthetic brushes and they don't want real hair in their brushes, the Princeton Neptune is most like the Silver Black Velvet. And then the Aqua Elite is supposed to mimic perfectly like a Kolinsky Sable. It's going to have more snap. I got some of those to try, but they're still on the pricier side. So that's why I decided to go with the Princeton Velvet Touch line to share with you guys as a really good professional watercolor brush. And so far, I'm loving them. They're holding water and paint well, like the amount of water and paint that they will hold, I'm really enjoying. And they have a great snap, which I love. That will really help hold that point and let you get in there and do these fine details. So to answer your question, my favorite brush has been Silver Black Velvet. However, I am really starting to migrate to the Princeton line, and I'm finding myself very happy there. So I hope that answered that. If you like a softer brush, Neptune. If you want a brush that has plenty of snap and spring, the Velvet Touch, or you could step up to the Aqua Elite. Aqua Elite is made just for watercolor. The Velvet Touch, you could use watercolor, gouache. I think you can use these with acrylic as well if you really wanted to. Mine won't ever touch acrylics because I use them for watercolor. Whatever brushes I use for watercolor never touch anything but watercolor. Occasionally some gouache, but only occasionally, and it really depends on the gouache. Like the Daniel Smith gouache, I would use my watercolor brushes with that because basically Daniel Smith gouache is the same as their watercolor but more heavily pigmented to make it more opaque. And can I just say a huge thank you to Rob. I am looking for where they came in, so maybe I didn't get down far enough yet. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Rob, who was gifted 10 memberships. So we have, let's see, Angela D was gifted a membership, Marg Chat, Nancy Rolfe, Paul Sims, Michelle P, Art and Diamonds with Eskies was gifted a membership by Rob. We were just chatting on one of the, in the comments on one of my other videos. And yeah, Cat's Art Pick said free brushes. Yeah. Yeah, I was thrilled. Like I said, I was thrilled to have the brushes when I'll show you guys when they come in. So I will definitely share when they get here. Paul G was gifted a membership by Rob. I have Sarah. Sarah Raymer Dean was gifted the membership. Valentine D527. Missy Lulu. Thank you so much, Rob. And if you've just received a gifted membership, you know, you don't have to do anything. If you want it to renew, you can go in and select for it to do that. But otherwise, that's what I love about gifted memberships. You never have to worry about it. You're not automatically going to be charged anything in the future. So, I mean, we would love for you to stick around. It helps support the channel, and we would be thrilled to have you. And if you have been gifted a membership, if you use Discord, go into Discord, go into your settings, and if you connect your Discord to your YouTube account, you'll automatically be have access to our Discord server, and that is definitely where I am most active. I post all kinds of behind the scenes. We get reference photos over there. We get I share with you like when the adventure videos are coming out. You guys, even if you're not on the tier that gets the adventure videos, you still get to see what I'm doing. So I share the images of that. There's lots over there. So I do hope you will check out Discord and come and say hello because we'd love to chat with you. All right, let me just show you guys. Link to Zoom, Cat's Art Picks. I don't know where that question's coming in. I Zoom once a month with all studio members and above. I Zoom once a quarter with all of our creator members and above. So we do Zoom hangouts. I'm not sure where the link to Zoom was, that question was coming in, but okay. One of the things that I was saying that you could have done is if you were having trouble painting these in, sorry guys, my brain will catch up with me. If you were having trouble with painting in the fine lines and you wanted to come back, you could take a liner pen, and you'll see I'm just going to go right over this. Bring that right in behind. Now I have to turn it the right way. I think I made that line a little crooked, but it's fine. See, so you can put them in with a liner pen. You don't have to. you don't have to worry about painting that detail if you're uncomfortable doing that with that point of the brush. See, there we go. And it definitely, gives it a little bit more wow. Same with this guy here. Right? So, absolutely, we could do that. Oh, I said I would make this a little bit more blue. And we can do that. Oh, so Cat's Art Picks, if you want you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you want to have access to the Zooms, depending on if you want once a quarter, so we do 4 a year, or every single month, it would either be the creator tier or the studio tier. And you can either go with Patreon or a membership here on YouTube. And from YouTube, you just click join below the video, or on Patreon. Either one will get you that the tiers are you get the same benefits over on Patreon as you do on YouTube. YouTube, you just get a little bit more because it includes like the super fans and all the emotes and the chat stuff and the stuff while we're live, those kind of things. And I can do special things on YouTube that I can't do on Patreon. So you'll see that there's like slightly different cost-wise between Patreon and YouTube, but that's why. But otherwise, as far as the Zoom goes, creator or studio will get you there. So I hope that answered that question. I'm going to re-wet some of this and hope that I don't regret it later. Why? It's just a painting. It's just a piece of paper. Let's not be afraid to dive in. I know I want it a little bit more blue, so we're just going to do it. Basically, I'm just wetting the areas where it was lighter, and yeah, we're just going to come in and add a little bit more blue. I still want it to fade and get lighter as it, gets towards the horizon. But I'd like to see a little bit more of the blue than I was seeing. Already I can tell that has like soaked into my paper. It's not as wet as I wanted it to be. That was really blue. All I gotta do is clean my brush. There we go. Be careful coming around where this dark part is that's coming off the lighthouse, because this paper lifts so easily. Oh my goodness, does it lift easily. And I know that this will dry lighter, so I think that's fine. I'm liking the clouds. Hey, Shauna! Caution Artist at Play. Okay. And huge thank you to Art of Joseph Fincham and Tara Giblin Art for moderating for us. Their channels are linked in the description below. So if you get a chance to, I definitely recommend checking out their channels. If you're not familiar, Joseph also streams. He streams on Mondays at 3 p.m. So same time that I do, but on Monday. And then Tara doesn't stream, but she does have some videos. Her channel is new. She's just starting out, and but she does have some cool videos over there that you could check out. Okay. I'm still trying to decide like what I want to do, if anything, with this foreground. If I want to put more in, like we saw the one I did earlier. It's definitely a blurred, out of focus, and I shared some other views of this lighthouse so that if you didn't like that, I think I'm just going to paint some more stuff on in front of it. We have time, so why not? Let's get some more, make it some more green. I want more yellow in my green than that. Go. Yeah, if you don't care for the blurred, the blurry, out of focus foreground, I did share some other images of this reference where they had you were seeing more of the lighthouse, and you weren't seeing it like this. So if this is not your cup of tea, you could use one of those. You could still paint the same lighthouse that we painted, just from a different angle. Right? Why not? This lighthouse actually, it doesn't come straight all the way down to the ground. There's actually a big base that this sits up on. So yeah, if you go over to Patreon, you'll see there is the post where I shared the reference photo. It says, come paint along with us today, or whatever it is. You'll see that I have links. So, but I absolutely love lighthouses. And I thought, you know what? This is one where we're not painting water with it. Usually, I think lighthouses and I think, oh, they paint the water, and I'm liking this. I'm starting to really like the foreground better now. I keep looking up at my monitor because when I'm looking here, I'm too in it. So I'll look up at my monitor to see like, oh, what do I have? What is it shown? But this just makes me feel like when we would go to the lighthouses here in Maine, there are some that you have to you got to hike out there or up there or wherever to see, like, oh my gosh, Bass Harbor Light. If you see images of Bass Harbor Light, it's one that I recommend you look up. And just know, this lighthouse is it's like a squared building. And so it has a square building and it has the light. And it is on like a cliff face. And you'll see pictures. You won't see my pictures. My pictures aren't quite from that angle, because they will literally, these photographers are mad insane. They go down on all of these rocks. These rocks are jagged. These rocks are wet. These rocks are slippery. You can only access it at low tide. And if you're not paying attention, that tide's coming back in. You could get stranded some places. This is not a safe thing to do. And some of the images of Bass Harbor Light are gorgeous. But that is there's a couple iconic, when I think of iconic Maine lighthouses, I think of Portland Headlight, of course, which is synonymous with Maine. And then I think of Bass Harbor Light, because it is that one that is just up on the cliffs. You can get it with a sunset quite often, and it is gorgeous. But Yeah, look up Bass Harbor Light on, say, I think there are some images on like Unsplash. There might be also on Pixabay. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous scenery, and one day I'm gonna paint it. But yeah, crazy. Oh, bye, Cat's Art Picks. Have a good evening. I think I'm liking this foreground much better now. This is like walking up to that lighthouse. That's what I started to say when I got off on the tangent of the Bass Harbor Light. Um, but it's like walking through that field, and this is out of focus because all of a sudden we see the lighthouse, and there's where our attention goes. And yeah, I'm kind of liking the out of focus foreground, and I think I'm gonna put a little bit more, add a little bit more to the pinks. So the only color we didn't use today was the Caput Mortem. So if you only got um, the basic collection, you are absolutely able to paint along and paint this one today without having to worry about if you were going to be able to, um, you know, get the color and have it correct. Yeah, I'm liking that foreground much better now. You've been warned. You've been warned. There we go. I like that. So you know what? We're gonna have to sign it. That's a little wet, so I'm gonna let that dry and check in on chat. Oh, so let me clarify that, Joseph. I think Rob asked if you can gift, if the option is there for you to gift memberships. As a moderator, do you see the option to still be able to gift memberships? I think that's what he was asking, not whether or not you personally can or cannot. But do you see that option? Because I had talked to Rob about possibly also becoming a moderator for the channel, because Rob is always here. And Rob said if it was going to take away his ability to gift memberships and things like that, then he didn't want to do it. So I think that's where the question comes from. So just to kind of clarify, I think that's where that was coming from. And we appreciate you, Rob. We appreciate you in whatever capacity you choose to participate, whether it be moderator or just the best of fans. I appreciate you. Okay, so again, like I said, this was glued down, and I glued my ends. Remember when these blocks came in, they were not glued on the narrow ends. So I did glue them. I did record it. This is where it's open. So it is open right there. I'd be able to put my palette knife in to take that off. I have a video coming out on how I did that on Saturday. So that will be for you on Saturday. No, I don't think so. Patreon doesn't, I don't think Patreon lets you gift anything over there yet. I don't know if it's something that they're working. I heard them talking about it at one point in time, that they were working on that, but they don't. To this point, I mean, I think it would work if they did it. You know, if we open, because not all creators open theirs up like I do. Like I allow, and I know Joseph does too. We allow free memberships to our Patreon, and that's basically, you can come over, see what's going on, see how often I'm posting, see if maybe it's going to be right for you, just kind of get a lay of the land and feel things out. And I do create posts that are put out there for everyone that are free. So anybody who's following me over on Patreon as a free member, you see all of that stuff. So if you had free memberships, I don't see why Patreon couldn't do it. So like you could gift a membership and somebody who's like a free follower might be able to get one. But as of right now, I don't think that they do. They don't. Yeah. They were talking about being able to gift subs to you, but not others, gifting to others. They were talking about us being able to gift them, correct, Joseph? Because that would be great too. I mean, I already do I have a free trial. So if you go on, if you're interested in the creator tier and the studio tier, those are my two top tiers, and they both have a 7-day free trial. So you're able to try it out, see the posts that are unique to you, follow along with some of the lessons. We're doing the let me come back here because you'll be able to see them. So all of these little ones that are here in the background, this was one of the latest ones, but I just released this one. So these two were released within the last week. We had this one, which these are the Adventures in Watercolor Land series. So they're small paintings. They each focus on a watercolor technique, and we're doing a series of 100. And so this one was dealing with like wax resist, and then this one we just did, and this one is actually has salt, was a salt technique, and the salt, like, I loved this one because the salt just painted the flowers in all on its own. So that was the most recent that we did. So you can get a free trial over there on Patreon for 7 days. I wish YouTube would let us do it, but YouTube doesn't. So yeah, I think that's absolutely correct, Joseph. But yeah, so I do have mine. Dolphin Soul says, I didn't think about offering a free level to give a look. Yeah, because Dolphin Soul has Patreon as well. If you follow her on Instagram for her photography, which is wonderful, and you can get reference photos. So if you're an artist looking for reference photos that are not on Unsplash or Pixabay, where everybody has access to them, you might want to check out Dolphin Soul Creations, right? Is it at Dolphin Soul Creations? Please say what your Instagram is in the say what your Instagram is in the chat, Dolphin Soul, because that's, you guys should check that out. You're absolutely welcome, but type what your Instagram is so that they can look that up over there. You are welcome. There we go. Just a second, it'll pop up for me. That's it. So if the @ sign before that, look that up it's on the screen right now on Instagram. If you're interested in some reference photos, I've seen some of her photos and they are amazing. And if you want to have access to some photos that you're not going to be able to, every other artist isn't going to be working from, that would be a great place to look. So yes. Now you two both have me intrigued. Just saying. Oh. Yeah, see, Rob said, I did not know this. Well, now you do. We've shared that, put it out there. Okay. So I think this is dry enough. I can sign it. So I'm just going to sign in ink. And you see here, let me show you guys. You can get blooms on this paper. So right there, where I just dropped that in, it pushed it out to the edge. I'm fine with that. I think it's fine. I am much happier with this foreground now than I was before. I really am liking this piece now. All right. So let's go ahead and give this one a sign. And I'm going to have to pop that. I'm going to pop that in the frame and show you guys. It is dry enough. Normally I leave these on the block. I wouldn't take it off the block yet because I want it to dry perfectly flat. However, it's not that wet still, and I want to be able to just pop it in the frame to show you. So because I went ahead and sealed mine even further, I have to remove it, the bottom, and all the way around. And palette knife gets the job done. But I love this block because at 4 by 6 inches, like I said, it is perfect. It's like if you had a picture printed, 4 by 6 is like standard, like photo size. So let's pop out the quick sketch I did earlier. We're gonna pop in our new one. There we go. And I'll have to have that. I'll have to find a spot. It needs a spot. I don't know where on earth I'm going to have a spot for it, but I'll have to find a spot behind me where it can sit for a little while. I like that one. That one might just stay right there in that frame for a bit. So, and that was the one, like I said, if you missed it, that I painted earlier this morning. And I shared that over on Discord. So really, Discord, definitely get connected. If you have been gifted a membership or you are a patron or channel member, please get connected to the Discord because that's where all the action happens. That's where everything is at. So thank you, George. Dolphin Soul said I love both of them. Thank you. Thank you, Tara. All right. Oh yeah, don't forget to sign the one that was in the frame, right? So that was, where did I just put it? Right here. All right, I gotta sign the one that was in the frame. The wonky lighthouse. We will sign the wonky lighthouse too. There we go. The wonky lighthouse is signed as well. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I have really enjoyed hanging out with you. If you got the curated collection, I hope you have painted along. Please, if you did, post a picture, tag me on social media. I would love to see them. If you're on Discord, we have a spot for finished artwork. You can post it there as well, and I will definitely see it there. Yeah. What's coming? Let's see. I'm going to try to do another painting with the curated collection. So we still have next week, still in April. So next live stream, maybe I will come back and do another paint along. So if you have the curated collection or if you're still waiting for it to come in, you can come back and paint with us again. I will try to get you a video out with a painting. I like to do at least 2 or 3 projects when I do these curated collections so that you can paint along and really get to know the supplies that you just invested in. It's not just a, here's your box, thanks for participating, and then that's it. Good luck to you. So that was another thing that I didn't like about regular art boxes that I wanted to fix. And so we absolutely use the products. If you invest in the curated collections, you're going to see them used and be able to paint along. So, okay. I'm trying to think if there's any other things that I have to tell you about. I have Meaden just messaged me. I was talking to my contact over there. They are sending me something. I'm not sure. It's going to be here soon. So I will have to unbox and share that with you guys when it gets here. We had a conversation and he said he was sending me some stuff, and so I'm looking forward to finding out what's coming. So that's going to be coming up. The weather's warming up. I'm going to probably be doing some plein air. I'm really hoping to be able to record on location this summer and do something like that. Yeah, so I'm working on what the next curated collection will be, but that is not going to even be close till at least until May. I want a month or longer. Last time we actually did 2 months with the last collection. So don't worry, we're not switching gears yet. But I am working on what the next one will be. I'm going to be cataloging. Let me know in the comments. I am going to be cataloging my watercolor collection because it's growing. And I just did, this is what I was doing before. If you guys on Discord, I shared with you, I was ready 2 hours before the stream, and I'm like, now what do I do? Well, what I did was made my swatch cards, and I'm going to start cataloging my watercolor collection. If this is something you would like to see, not all in one sitting, oh, good Lord, nobody has time for that. But if you want to see like bits and pieces of that coming through, maybe in some shorts or, videos where I'll focus on like a specific pigment and show you all the ones I have in my collection of that, something like that is what I'm kind of thinking. Or maybe you want to see like by brand, what do I actually have in this crazy collection? Drop me a comment and let me know which way interests you the most, or do you want to see it in a couple different ways? I'm curious to see. I want to be able to create the videos that you want to watch. And speaking of watching, huge thank you to all of you who have been watching and subscribing and liking the videos, because it is helping. I got a notification. I meant to mention it last week. YouTube said, went over 70,000 views now. So the channel is growing. Memberships, people who are subscribed is growing. And all of those views, that's you guys. I have no control over that. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for helping me meet that milestone here on the channel. I definitely appreciate you. Okay. I think that kind of wraps it up. I think I'm giving you guys like what's been happening and some of what sneak peeks of what's coming. So do hit that like button if you enjoyed painting with me today. Subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, huge thank you to patrons and members, because you guys make this possible. Some of the upgrades to my collections have been 100% because of your support, and I thank you so much for that. So, okay, if you're watching this on the replay, I'll pop another video up right about there that you might like to watch next. But until next time, my friends, keep creating, and I will see you in a video real soon. Bye, guys.